You're busy. Everyone says they're busy. But here's what most people don't realize. Being busy isn't the same as being productive. You could spend 10 hours a day answering emails, attending meetings, and crossing off your to-do list. And at the end of that day, you'd feel exhausted, but accomplish almost nothing that actually matters. The real problem isn't that you don't have enough time. The real problem is that nobody ever taught you how to use the time you have. And that's what today's video is about. These 5 books have helped millions of people stop confusing activity with achievement. They're not about waking up at 4 a.m. or grinding harder. They're about working smarter, building habits that stick, and finally understanding why you do what you do. Let's start with number 5, Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you've ever tried to change your life overnight, you know how that goes. You commit to going to the gym every day. You commit to writing a book. You commit to learning a new skill. And then by week 2, you're back to your old routine. The problem isn't motivation. The problem is that you're trying to change your behavior without changing the system. Atomic Habits argues that tiny changes create remarkable results, not because of some magic trick, but because of compound interest. Clear introduces the idea of habit stacking. You don't build a completely new habit from scratch. Instead, you attach it to a habit you already have. You already brush your teeth every morning. So after you brush your teeth, you do 20 push-ups. That's it. It takes 30 seconds longer. But over a year, that's hundreds of workouts you wouldn't have done otherwise. The book also teaches the 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Each law is backed by concrete examples and strategies you can implement immediately. Readers often say this book finally helped them understand why their habits stick or fail, not just told them to try harder. This book is especially good for anyone who feels stuck in old patterns. If you've tried motivation before and it didn't last, this is for you. Number 4, Deep Work by Cal Newport. You probably think you're productive. You check your email constantly. You're always in some Slack conversation. You respond to messages within minutes. By the end of the day, you feel like you've done a lot. But have you actually created anything? Have you solved a real problem? Have you moved any of your most important goals forward? Deep Work makes a simple but radical argument. The ability to focus intensely on cognitively demanding tasks is becoming increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. And if you can develop that skill, you'll become virtually irreplaceable in your field. Newport defines deep work as professional activity, performed in a state of unbroken concentration that pushes cognitive abilities to their limit. He contrasts this with shallow work, low-value tasks performed while distracted. The book provides specific philosophies for structuring your work life around deep work. One framework is monastic philosophy. Eliminate all shallow obligations and structure your entire life around deep work. Another is rhythmic philosophy. Work deeply during the same hours every day. There's also the journalistic philosophy. Jump into deep work whenever you can find a pocket of time. The key insight is this. You can't just want to do deep work. You have to design your environment and your schedule so deep work becomes possible. That means turning off notifications. That means blocking time on your calendar like it's a sacred appointment. That means being ruthless about what you say no to. This book is for anyone whose work requires thinking, creating, or problem solving. If you've ever felt like you're busy but not productive, Deep Work is the answer. Number 3, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Why do you do the things you do? Not the big life choices, the small daily habits. Why do you check your phone first thing in the morning? Why do you reach for a snack in the afternoon? Why do you exercise or don't exercise? Most of us think habits are just personality. That's just how we are. But Duhigg argues that habits follow a specific neurological loop. Cue, routine, reward. Something triggers a habit. Your phone buzzes. That's the cue. Then you perform a routine. You check it. Then you get a reward. Validation, connection, entertainment. The fascinating part is that the brain doesn't actually distinguish between good habits and bad habits. They work exactly the same way. So if you want to change a habit, you don't need to eliminate it. You need to keep the same cue. You need to keep the same reward. You just change the routine in the middle. Duhigg calls this habit substitution. You can't willpower your way out of habits, but you can be smarter about how you redesign them. The book is filled with real stories. How a woman quit smoking by changing her routine without changing her cue or reward. How companies like Target use habit science to sell products. How social movements spread through understanding the power of keystone habits. One habit can create a cascade of other habits. This book is for anyone who feels trapped by their own behavior. If you understand why you do what you do, you can actually change it. Number 2, Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Listen to what most people say they want. More success, better health, stronger relationships, more time. Then listen to how they actually live. They're overcommitted. They're exhausted. They're giving their time and energy to everything except what actually matters. Essentialism is about saying no, not in a rude way, but strategically. McKeown introduces a powerful concept. If you don't deliberately choose what's essential, someone else will choose for you. Your boss will choose. Your clients will choose. Your inbox will choose. And you'll spend your life doing important things for other people instead of essential things for yourself. The book teaches a simple framework. Explore widely, think deeply, then choose what's truly important. Then execute relentlessly on that choice. It's not about doing less. It's about doing the right things with full focus and energy. One powerful concept is the 90% rule. When evaluating whether to say yes to something, ask, is this a 90% yes or better? If it's anything less, the answer is no. This eliminates the maybes, the things you're kind of interested in, the opportunities that are good but not great. Readers often say this book gave them permission to stop trying to do everything. That's surprisingly rare. Most productivity books tell you to do more. This one tells you the truth. The highest performing people aren't doing more. They're being more selective. This book is essential for anyone who feels pulled in 10 different directions. If your time is scattered, essentialism is where to start. And finally, number 1, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Here's a question that might sound simple but isn't. Why do you make the decisions you make? You probably think you're rational. You think you weigh the evidence, consider the options, and choose the best path. But Kahneman, a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, reveals that your thinking operates in 2 completely different systems. System 1 is fast thinking, automatic, intuitive. It's how you recognize a friend's face or catch a ball. It barely requires effort. System 2 is slow thinking, deliberate, logical. It's how you do your taxes or solve a complex problem. It requires real mental energy. The problem is that System 1 is always running, always offering opinions, and you usually accept them without question. And System 1 is full of biases. Confirmation bias, you see what you expect to see. Availability bias, you overweight information that comes to mind easily. Anchoring, you rely too heavily on the first number you hear. These biases aren't flaws in stupid people, they're features of how human brains work, and understanding them is the first step to making better decisions. The book walks through dozens of real examples of how these biases affect our lives. Why we overpay for things, why we overestimate our abilities, why we make poor financial decisions, why we hold beliefs too firmly despite evidence against them. The deeper insight is this. You can't eliminate bias, but you can become aware of it. You can slow down your thinking. You can ask yourself whether System 1 is giving you good advice or leading you astray. This book is for anyone who makes decisions, which is everyone. If you want to understand not just how to be productive, but why you make choices about your time and energy, this is the foundation. So here's what connects all 5 of these books. None of them promise you 10 hours back every week. None of them promise you'll be superhuman. What they do offer is clarity. Clarity about why you do what you do. Clarity about what's actually important. Clarity about how to change. Pick one of these books. Don't try to read all 5. Pick the one that speaks to your biggest challenge right now. If you feel stuck in bad habits, start with Atomic Habits. If you're busy but unproductive, start with Deep Work. If you don't understand your own behavior, start with The Power of Habit. If you're scattered across too many things, start with Essentialism. And if you want to understand how you make decisions, start with Thinking Fast and Slow. Links to all 5 books are in the description. Pick one up. The best time to read these books was years ago. The second best